The way in which the majority of the population communicates has changed. It's no longer phone, it's no longer email, it's texting. So we've got to ask ourselves, why are we still relying solely on phone and email to get in touch with consumers? This picture best illustrates where texting has already gone. This is St. Peter's Square at the Vatican, 2005. Can anyone point out the one cell phone we see in the picture? There it is. What do we call those? Razor flip phones? Ladies and gentlemen, here is the exact same camera angle 8 years later. So the way in which consumers communicate has shifted, and it's up to us to follow them, otherwise we're going to get left behind. Remember the old saying, get them on the phone? Well, it's become increasingly harder to do. Just take a look. Here's a bar graph that represents inbound and outbound phone calls. Inbound represented in blue, and outbound represented in red. In all age groups, the inbound phone calls is no more than 90 per month. Ladies and gentlemen, that's less than 3 phone calls consumers are taking every day, and we are trying so hard to be 1 or 2 of those 3 phone calls. In comparison, look at text. It's a night and day comparison. For every 1 phone call made or received, a millennial is sending or receiving 21 texts. It's a 1 to 21 relationship. Don't even look at millennials anymore. Don't look at baby boomers. Look at the older generation. My mother in Fort Lauderdale, 55 plus. For every 1 phone call received or made, she is sending or receiving 3 texts. And we've got to ask ourselves, we're still trying to get these consumers on the phone. So now that we've compared phone and text, let's very quickly compare email versus text. But I need your help. Do me a favor and take out your cell phone and take a look at how many unread emails you have. Now take a look and see how many unread texts that you have. I want to bet you've got a few unread emails, or if you're anything like me, you've got 50 to 100 unread emails, but you have no unread texts. Ladies and gentlemen, 98% of texts are read versus 22% of emails. So if I've done a decent job at presenting the past information, hopefully I've gotten you really excited about texting. But hold on, don't do it just yet. Don't run to your CRM and just start texting numbers. We don't know how many of those numbers may go to a landline. Now you're texting landlines. There's also this thing called TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act. You've got to be really careful. There's really 2 rules that apply. The FCC brought down TCPA in October of 2013 that states, 1, you cannot have a text conversation with a consumer who is not opted in. Number 2, every single consumer that you're having a text conversation with has to have the opportunity to opt out. There have been multiple class action lawsuits in the tens of millions of dollars for organizations and corporations who haven't abided by these 2 rules. So let me show you an example.
Okay, so here's an example of a site where a consumer could text a dealership. Here's the homepage of a dealer's mobile site. They could either click this orange prominent button to engage in the text. In this example, though, we're going to go to a piece of inventory where the button will also live. So in this example, we'll look at a BMW. Let's look at a BMW 3 Series. We'll go down to this one here. So my being the consumer here, I can call. I could email, which could be a little bit challenging on a dealer mobile site. Or what we're talking about today, we can text the dealership. So this example, I'm going to go ahead and, I guess it's asking for my name. It's asking for my mobile phone number. So as the consumer, I'll put in my mobile phone number. And then my message. Is this BMW 3 Series still available? And does it have leather? So as the consumer, we just went ahead and submitted the lead. Now let's go to the dealership platform and see what the dealership sees. So here's the lead. It just came in. Scott Peckstein. I received a lead. The consumer has opted in. I went ahead and I opted in. And here's the question. Here's the conversation. Is this BMW 3 Series still available? Does it have leather? We had an automated response. On behalf of the dealership, it went out back to the consumer. Here is basically the opt-in message, and then basically the conversation begins. Yes, it's still available with black leather. And the conversation goes on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an example of how easy it is. And again, the benefit here where the consumer initiates the text and simply the dealer's just responding to text, it sure beats what we call cold texting, which is texting out of the CRM or texting blindly from a salesperson's cell phone, not knowing who you're texting and being completely out of compliance.